What's up, 50 folders? So, fundraising, huh? Now, you want to get money, you need to raise it from investors. Now, you probably know or will be aware that you're not going to get money from the first investor. It's going to take time. You're going to have to reach out to a lot of investors, and it may take up to 6 months. Now, at the same time, you're also going to be running your firm or your startup, and you need to be getting things done. So, the likelihood is you're going to forget things. So you need a tool in order to manage that whole process, applying best practices. Now, I've raised before, and it's clearly something that I know something a little bit about. Now, I'm going to be teaching you how to use the tool which I use, although it's a little bit more pimped because I want to give you the best things that you can get and take you through every step-by-step process from the initial outreach to managing the process to managing the final investors and closing out that round, all in just one sheet, which can either be done in Excel or in a Google Sheet. If you're interested in learning more about how this all works, stick with me right now.
Okay, guys, let's dig in. Okay, so I've made two versions of the file depending on what your interest is or use case is. So there is an Excel version, which you use standalone. There is a Google Docs version if you want to collaborate with a team. Now, each one of those has a blank file and a filled in file, which is just for illustrative purposes. Now, the blank file, looking at the Excel version here, is very simple. It's blank, okay? So you're going to use this and you're going to fill it in. But for the purpose of understanding, you can have a look at the filled in version, okay? Now, I haven't spent like loads of time making it in like as illustrative as perfectly possible. I just fill stuff in just to make it kind of, to show you, okay? That's what the filled version of the file will look like. Now, there are, for the Google Doc version, it's the same thing. I just did some little modeling changes to make it work with Google. It's basically the same thing, filled in version, blank version, same thing, except it's blank. All right, it's basically the same. Again, I've just made a couple of changes to make it work in Google. Otherwise, it's the same thing. So you're going to want to use this Google version if you're collaborating with people. As I said before, you can, add people to it, whatever, share it with your team. And then if there's more people working on the fundraise, then, you can keep up people to date, or you can have multiple people be filling and updating it, which I don't really recommend. I recommend one person fill it in. To download it, right, once you get the link for it, you're going to want to save that, make a copy and save it to your drive. Otherwise, it exists on my hard drive and you can't edit it. Duh, right? Like, not everyone can be using the same version of my file. So you have actually got to make a copy and save it to your own drive, okay? So we don't need to see these anymore. I'm going to give you a very quick intro into what the sheets are in this, doc, and then we're going to be digging into a lot more details so you can understand what's in this. Now, I'm not going to be teaching you how to fundraise in this video. I'm literally just explaining how this tool works, okay? So here I've got like in a guide, but frankly, if you go to the blog, which I need to post still, it's like 5,000 words or something here of blah, blah, explaining 5,838, explaining how it works, so you can read that, which will be posted once I got this video done. But, if you just want to have a quick read, feel free. It's some things about formatting, but generally not very interesting, okay? Now, first sheet is a target sheet. Now, you do not have to do this. I just recommend that everyone should, even if you're experienced, because it'll make you think about some of the basics which you probably haven't thought through properly. And I've literally never met anyone who's thought about all the basics properly. So you want to figure out first, how much do you need to raise and how much do you want to raise? Now, the tool like the future fundraise model, which is here, if you go to my blog, annoying pop-ups from Alex, how to forecast your fundraising till you exit. All right, there's a free tool here, which is gonna, help you make cool shit like this, where you're gonna work your way back from here, like the end point to where you are now, to know about how much you actually need or want to raise to the point. Let's go back to this. Okay, so figure out how much you absolutely need for this fundraise to be worthwhile, and then kind of pick a number within a tight range of the number that you'd actually want to have, right? So if you're doing like a small angel raise, it could be, I don't know, when I'm like 250, but I'd like to have 400 if they'll give it to me. All right. These numbers are probably more realistic in non-American countries. If you're in America, at least Silicon Valley, it could be, say, I want 3 million and I want, ideally like 5 million. So that's kind of my range. For like Series B, it could be I want 20 million or whatever. You could write like 20, or I want like 35 million. All right, whatever your range is here. Pick the numbers which make sense. Obviously, if you're writing like 20, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, numbers don't look that great. So I kind of, like 250K to 500K or something, right? Okay, so for cities, geographies, where are they based? If you're in a country, say like in Singapore, then, maybe Singapore's where you focus, but you might be able to raise from Thailand, Indonesia. It's not really anyone in Malaysia, but anyway, if they're in the US, you're probably thinking about cities. So it could be, I want to raise from the Bay Area, which is whatever, San Fran down to Mountain View kind of stuff. But if you can pick up some money in LA, that'd be kind of nice. But also you might kind of check out New York City and, I don't know, Boulder, Colorado. Sector-wise, there's people who you ideally want to raise from, and they could be, sector focused, for example. So you want to raise from like SaaStra, Point Line Capital guys who just do SaaS, or they could be people who just do ad tech. That's who you ideally want. Or alternatively, do you know what? Just in case, someone who doesn't annoy you but's a generalistly good VC, that would be fine too. All right, they're just not experts in one particular vertical. So you need to find who it is you want. Now, you always need to have a lead investor for any round, pretty much. So who is that lead going to be? Do you want the lead to be from a family office, VC, or strategic, or, just generally like someone who's got a lot of money as an angel? So if you're doing a normal VC round, it's like large seed plus pretty much normally, then you probably say you're focused on getting, a lead as a VC. Certain instances, maybe in biotech or something, you want to get a strategic to help you out, that's fine. But just, who do you want to raise from? Are they going to be leaders? Are they going to be followers? Then how many people do you want in the round? Like if you're doing an angel, maybe say ideally you want value adds, so you want 5 people, and the most that I want to have a relatively clean cap table, so long as I'm not kind of structuring things up into, like whatever syndicates where they're coming as one line on the cap table, right? By setting up a SPAC or whatever, not a SPAC, but an SPV, special purpose vehicle. How many of the most people you want to take? So just have a think about that. So it could be you want 3 family offices, 2 VCs, you don't want any strategics. Okay, fine. Then checks, right? If you're doing seed, maybe say, hey, I don't want any angels. Or if you're doing Series B, very unlikely. I don't want any angels. So check size, 0, don't care. Family offices, I want 50K, 100K, or 1 million, 10 million, 20 million. VC strategics, like what is the minimum? What's the target amount that you actually want? So you could say like for VC, the minimum that you'll take from a VC is, 2.5 million. But you'd ideally like to have 5 million, or it could be, 8 million is what you're ideally looking if you've got a round of say like 10 million. So what is the stage focus of those investors? Like what's the priority focus they're on? So you'll find that, a lot of VCs, micro VCs will be seed stage focused, right? So if you're doing a seed round, you might take pre-seedy kind of guys if you need it, right? But if you can target a Series A guy, like say, I don't know, Sequoia mainly tries to do Series A plus, but they do actually do seed rounds. So if it's possible to get the biggest guys, that'd be cool. But really your sweet spot is going to be on these seed guys. Now, you don't have to fill this sheet in. It's really kind of nothing to do with the process management tool that I'm going to be teaching you about here. It's just to make sure that you know what the heck it is that you want to be focused on, what you need to be doing. So for everything during the process, like you've got to focus, right? From first off, figuring out who it is you want to raise from, all the way down to who do you actually want to take the money from if you get the offers. Just, spend 5 minutes or 2 hours, depending on how much you know, and just have a think about who actually you want to raise from, what you want your round to look like. Now, okay, also, I just picked a bunch of variables here. Maybe numbers of investors may not make sense, whatever. I just tried to think of everything that kind of made sense. So if you've got other variables, feel free to, add them in and play with them and think about them. But just actually constructively think about what it is that you want to do and what you want your round to look like. All right, now we're going to get into the actual process here, okay? So stage 1 is you make a list of investors and you want to do an outreach to them. Once they kind of get in the process, meaning basically they respond to you, after you stop spamming them. Then they get in the progressing sheet, right? Progressing. So they're not really anywhere necessarily. Maybe you've had a phone call with them, but they're in the process. Finally, if everything goes well, they're going to get interest at various levels, okay? From like offered money to probably unlikely, but they, you think you might be able to get them if something happens. Skipping this. So allocations, once you've got these offers and, you pretty much got like a whole bunch of like offered here or pretty much guaranteed. If you've got too many offers so that your round will be more than what you're targeting, right? What you're targeting here, what you need, what you want, you might actually start, picking your investors here and putting scenarios about how much money you might take from each of them and seeing what that round looks like and how much money you have to allocate to them. We'll come into this towards the end of the video. And then obviously we've got the dead zone here, right? So when people basically give you anything other than I'm interested and they keep following up with you, they're basically no's. There's no really like hard no's from VCs, well, most of them anyway. It's because they want the optionality to be in the round if, they can. But if they're not really responsive and chasing you, it's kind of a no, so just put them in here. Obviously, if you get any hard no's, put them in here too. All right. So just keep on thinking about fundraising as a funnel, right? So you have a lot of outbound, maybe some inbound. You're going to qualify people, going to put them through a process. You're either going to get offers or they're going to die and they go out of your funnel. Okay. Or they convert, right? So that you got to think about marketing like that. And so that's how the kind of sheet is sort of spelled out, so that you start out with a whole list of prospects. They go through your funnel and they either make an offer and they die. And then you can, if you have the choice, decide who you want. Cool. Now let's go through the first sheet, which is the list sheet. Now you can see there's quite a lot of fields in here. Okay, it goes all the way across, form intros and stuff. You don't need to fill all this in at the start. Now, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to build up a big list of the VCs, right? And so in your sheet, it might just look like a list of names like, something like this maybe, right? It'll just be a list of names. And then you're going to figure out by checking or qualifying them if you actually want these guys. All right, and so after all the work, your sheet might end up looking like this. It's got a lot more stuff in here, okay? So the first thing, you get a name. So I don't know, Bulletin Capital, which was basically Benchmark Europe, but Benchmark, well, Bulletin didn't do well. Anyway, let's not get into VC dirty laundry. So at some point, if you kind of qualify these people, you might fill in this data and be like, okay, Megan, these names are all bullshit. I made them up, right? Megan Samp, Geraldine Eldrith, really? Okay. Michaela Torno. Wow, like poor names. Okay, so we know the partner that you want is Megan. She's based in London. Her email is jim@blah.com. And she writes checks for about like 100K. So it's okay for you. Now, next thing you want to do is you want to qualify all your investors. So does a 100K check. You said the minimum that you want to have from a VC is 2.5, we'll say. We'll call it 85,000. So Megan's suddenly back in the game. So she's writing checks large enough that you want. She invests in Europe. You're based in London. That's fine. However, your company is called Lime and they invest in Bird. That sounds like a conflict to me. So you probably want to check on Bird, right? So here you can write, like check, none, whatever. Ask partner before you share, right? Because make sure that there's no conflict in the portfolio if they've invested in someone already. Check the stage focus, right? The Series A focus, seed focus, Series B, angel, whatever it is. That was that here thing, which is what stage are they focused on? What sector they focus on? Do they have a priority? Like, is it SaaS? Is it journalist? You need to check because you're not kind of sure if they'll invest in you. Because you don't want to waste your time reaching out to biotech investors if you're some ad tech company, because they don't give two shits about you, right? They just don't do it. So what you want to do is check. Now, these are not like a definitive list of the checks you need to do. It's sort of like the basics 101s, like noobs will not really know that they should be checking. So I'm just putting them here. If you're experienced and you know what I'm talking about, feel free to ignore it if you want. However, if you're a noob and you don't know why these checks are here, Spend the time to internalize and understand why, because it'll save you a lot of heartache of looking stupid if you haven't done the checks properly, okay? Think of it. If my name's Megan, I'm at Boulderton, I invest, a check size of 100K, and I've focused on SaaS companies. If you're an ad tech company looking for $500 million and you reach out to me, I'll be like, I write 100K checks in SaaS companies and you're a biotech company raising $500 million. Like, why the fuck are you talking to me? So you're like, that is why, right? You need to do your checks, okay? Also, you want to qualify if people are actually, the quality that you want to have. Because frankly, if they kind of look like dodgy investors, why do you even want to meet them? Like, do you want to have a call? Do you want to waste like 2, 3, 5, 10 hours in them? No. Just don't be too greedy. Focus on quality investors. And once you figured out who you like, you can set them as priorities A, B, C, D. Now, I don't know what A, B, C, D means, but it'll figure out what it means to you. So obviously, like, your A guys are like the top shit, your benchmarks, your Sequoias, your Excels. Well, I guess, yeah. And then your Bs would be like kind of Perkins these days because they haven't done too well. Ds are like, oh my God, after 18 months of raising, sure, I'll raise them. Your Cs are like, yeah, okay, kind of guys, maybe first time funds, haven't really proven it, but don't have the brand recognition or whatever. And that's just going to help you prioritize who you want to be focusing on because it's called priority. And then just whack in, are they an angel? Is an angel syndicate? Are they a family office? Are they VC? Are they strategic? And then you can categorize them, right? So you can look at filters and be like, I only want to see people who are whatever VCs. And then you can just see like the list of whatever people. Now you can change the filter back to what it was before. So, okay, big list of people, figure out if they actually invest in you or not. If they don't, you can probably just delete them out of your list. Well, actually just do delete them out of the list because it's a waste of time. Or kind of maybe whack them on the bottom somewhere, right? So you don't see them, but you can say, oh yeah, I checked Reed Elsevier with Margaret Mirando. And you can say, oh yeah, look, it does make sense, right? Just make sure you don't waste time then checking again. Okay, now once you've decided on the list of people that you actually want to target, you're going to change this like to target yes or no. So then you could, you could filter them if you want, or ignore what I said about putting them at the bottom. You just unfilter them, so you get rid of the nose. All right, so these are the people I want to target. You want to get intros to these people. What I recommend reading is warm intro. Read this long ass blog. This is how to get venture capital introduction for startups. This is the warm version of it, okay? This is how to get a venture capital introduction to your startup fundraise, and basically teaches you about how to do warm introductions and all sorts of like super nerdy detail. If you totally want to ignore me because you're an idiot, you can read this one, Cold Intros, Introduction. I don't know, Alexander Jarvis. Writing a cold email template venture capitalist. This kind of tells you how to kind of spam investors that you don't know and haven't been introduced to. Give you a better shot. It's still not the ideal, but like whatever. Get warm introductions, okay? So this is why it's set up here, where they're going to be introductions, warm 1, 2, 3. Okay, so once you decide you want to target them, you want to figure out who's going to introduce you to them. So for intros, okay, we've got that you want an intro for them, which is the starting point. So like, who the heck's going to do that? Or you're requesting an introduction, which means you're reaching out to, I don't know, Geraldine Elderith or whatever, who's hopefully going to do it for you. If you have an intro, cool, right? That's in your done list, right? You're good. If you know them already, you just set them to no because you already know them. So like, whatever, you're friends with Martin Migno, partner of Index in London. Fine, you know him. Like, you don't need to get an introduction, right? If you're requesting an intro, it could be you're asking Michaela Letourneau to make one, but she hasn't said if she actually knows them or not. And then finally, done means like you've got your intro, or it's like you're not in the process anymore. Like, you basically just don't care. Okay, so set where you are in the progress of this, because this sort of getting introduction thing is the first sort of phase of active phase post getting the list of people. So then for outreach, what do you need to do? So you've not contacted them, which means like you haven't contacted them. So you spam them, right? Cold outreach. You're done, which is cool. They're probably in the process now. Or Megan, whatever, said that doesn't know Martin, so you need to get another intro, which means you need to ask Alan or Ramona or something, right? past means the investor's not fucking interested, so they're basically dead, in which case you're going to put them into the dead sheet. Fine, all right. So I generally recommend that you need to have one good warm intro to people, because frankly that should be enough if they're well placed. But you know what? If you've got a couple of people because you're super connected, then, you know, you can ask Madonna and Alan, Ramona and Valerie and Woodrow, whatever, to also make introductions for you. So like intro 1, 2, 3. It just gets a little bit weird if Elvira and Madonna and Megan, right, all send emails to make an intro for someone. It's like, well, why are so many people doing this? It kind of just feels a bit needy. Just think about like common, like social norms, like what makes sense for you. So with these, right, so once you get them, right, you want to ask if they're actually placed to make the introduction for you. So they're not, obviously, right? You've asked them, you're waiting to hear back from them. They said that they're placed to make an introduction for you, which means that they didn't meet them in the toilet at some startup event once. Not placed, which means like ask someone else, I met them in the toilet once and pitched them while they were taking a piss. And like, honestly, yes, people have done that to me before and it's fucking weird. Don't do that. Send forwardable email, which means that Megan says, yeah, cool, I know Jim, I know Alex, whatever. Send me a forwardable email so that I can basically make my life faster and make the introduction for you, which I have a blog on somewhere probably. So you're waiting on a response, meaning that Megan has messaged Alex and is waiting to hear back from Alex. And then Megan will tell you, yeah, okay, Martin's interested, over to you, get going, okay? In which case, these people then move into the next sheet, which is a progressing sheet. Or alternatively, like Megan basically doesn't get a response from Alex because she met him in the toilet once, which actually sounds really weird since it's a girl meeting a guy in the toilet, but let's not go there because it's just creepy. And there's no response, right? In which case, what you need to do is get another intro, which would be here, right? Get an intro, so you would delete Megan because she's useless. And you're... and you want to run the whole process again, basically, okay? So you can do that for multiple people, but you really want to track, like, who is going to make introductions for you before we actually even start your outreach process. Then once you have, I don't know, like 20 people lined up or something, maybe more, it kind of depends. You're going to start your outreach process, okay? In which case the process is going to get going. And once you have people who are interested and they're going to be progressing around, all this you're going to stop caring about because you're only going to reach out to them, once or twice anyway. And the only sheet you're going to care about is the progressing sheet. Okay, in which case this is the one that you care about. Although maybe you might hear about new investors as the process goes, in which case you're going to, add in Alex Ventures, whatever. Alexa Ventures, right? And then you're going to figure out who's going to make an introduction, they qualify them, blah, 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 right? So once they're on the progress sheet, or once they're moving progressing sheet, sorry, I told you they're going to don't copy and paste these, leave them in here. Okay, progressing sheet. Through the magic of Alex formulas, you're going to pick, I don't know, business growth fund, which is basically shut down because the guys all left. Anyway, all right, this will pull out the data which you had within the list sheet. It'll self-populate, so you don't need to do it. You're going to start tracking the progress with BGF, okay? So we're reaching out to Cami Riviera, not Rory and what's his face, who actually ran it. And what's the stage here, okay? So there's basically none. So once you basically reach out to them, no kind of progress, you set them as none, okay? If you had the first call with whatever Rory, you've had the first meet or call. The meet calls depends on how people do it. I always do calls first. I actually recommend them. Then that's like, oh, I'll get in the room and I fucking magic them. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. People are logical. So you have 2, 3. Put 3+. Like, I could have written 4 or 5, but like, who gives a shit? Once you've had like 3 meetings, you definitely remember these people and you're freaking hoping that things are working. So there's no point in tracking past 3. But 2 is still kind of like maybe early-ish, okay? Once you get here, basically the next stage is going to happen is that they're going to end up having a partner meeting if they decided to go ahead with it. They may have had a partner meeting and they said like, don't know about it, requesting more info before we then have another partner meeting. If they're interested, then issue a term sheet. And then they're going to do due diligence. Normally, hopefully, you're going to do your docs with the lawyers, which will be either very quickly if you're doing convertible note or longer if you're doing whatever price round. then you're done. Whoop-de-woo. Okay, now if you're doing an angel, you may have people who are in, and they could be soft in, but it's like, I'm in if you can raise 500, and then I'll write you a 50K check. And they can be hard in, which is, I'm in, like, give me, like a convertible note, and I'm bum, right? So most of this process works for price rounds. The other stuff like soft, hard interest is related to angels, right? So you want to track the last time that you talked to people, because you want to stay on top of them. Now, look, if VCs are interested, they're going to be keeping in touch with you. But you're not always the prom queen. People get busy, they lose track of emails, whatever, they got kids and shit like that. So you want to remember when you email them. So if you haven't heard someone from like 2 weeks, you should probably get back on that and get in touch. So just write down the last time you talked to them so that you can follow up, right? Don't be following up every freaking day. It's just weird. But if you haven't heard from like a week or two or something, just, hey Jim, how you doing? Want to follow up? Did you get the information that I sent about my search volume analysis? Whatever. Always have a next step, okay? What do you need to do next? So like send SEO analysis is like a real thing that we asked the founder for before years ago, right? Or send something, whatever. Like, I don't know, organize a call. Meet when in Los Angeles, whatever. Meet when in LA next week. Well, week is not ideal. It should be more like meet when, for fuck's sake, next, I don't know. All right, so that, because, next week when you're not paying attention can mean like anything then, right? So once you talk to Cami, do you want to get an idea for how much the potential ticket might be? Is it 90K? Is it 1 million? 100K? So that you can kind of like gauge how interesting they are for you, right? Then they'll tell you broadly what they do, but it's just sort of like a rough prioritization. Right now, you don't care. Once you're in the office stage, that potential ticket thing, all right, that matters a lot. But for the process stage, it doesn't really matter, okay? Okay, then you want to be tracking what's going down on Funkertown, okay? So as you're going through the process, again, you want to be prioritizing because, you're still building your freaking startup and trying to get the traction that, they're demanding. So you want to be like, if they're high, then you want to be following up with them every other day or week or whatever. If it's low priority, well, screw Megan, who cares? Like, come back to them if you really need the money. Okay. So this, again, is like a rough feeling of where, how important do you think they are? What's the likelihood of getting that deal done, to knowing where you can allocate your time. Now, the other thing about the process is that there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff that you need to do and things that you need to share with them, okay? I'm going to go through some things that you could have in this, so you can change the titles of them if you want. Some of them are needed, some I've invented, some I don't even use myself. I've just put them in because people do it. Okay, so first off, teasers, I never do them, and I've got a blog somewhere where I explain why. It's called, why I want a pitch deck before a pitch. I'll just find that for you, okay? Why I want a pitch deck for everything I tell you to read, just read it, okay? Here we go. Because you'll learn all stuff, okay? This is a very important read. I read it like 4 or 5 years ago or something, but it's... Anyway, read it to understand, okay? I don't do teasers. Like, as an investor, I don't freaking want them. As a founder, I don't sell them, okay? Deck, you have to have, okay? Don't mess around with it. If you need help with decks, go to perfectpitchdeck.com. All right, financial model, you're going to have one. I sell them on my blog for SaaS, e-commerce, subscription commerce, enterprise SaaS companies, the best ones in the world. Yes, I charge money, but they're cheap relative to how freaking awesome that they are. You're going to need to have one. The later stage company you are, the more detailed it ideally should be and the better quality numbers are. I recommend everyone do it, even if you're at the angel stage, because it'll be more valuable for you to go through the process than just doing it for the sake of sending it to an investor, okay? Metrics deck is not a normal thing. I didn't actually invent it. The first time I saw it was done by Conrad Parker, who started this company called Rippling. Anyway, he has one. It's on my blog. like everything. Business model deck is something I invented, which is basically a qualitative description of your financial model. I don't have an example on my website, but basically you just want to describe what the key variables are or drivers and assumptions are of your model, of what you think needs to be important, because like no one really wants to be going through your model. They just want to know about how you think about your business. So it's something I work with my clients to do if they want to, but again, I don't have a blog about how to do it on my website, and I invented it, so you know. NDAs. Okay, never ask for one up front. Again, I have a blog on this on my website called like, you know, I don't know, don't ask for NDAs. Like, I don't know. Don't ask for NDA. However, towards the end of the process, if you got confidential shizzle, like if you're an enterprise company and they want to see like your client pipeline, then investors will sign NDAs in order to see that stuff specifically. And actually they'll offer. I know this to be true because I've had multiple people offer me in a process. Okay. Just don't bother asking for it. Just if they want to see like super confidential information, say like we have an NDA, I'm not going to make you sign one, but I'm not going to share the information because it's confidential. At which point they'll offer. Okay. So just don't be weird about it. Just if something's like super duper confidential and there's basically only client lists and your source code, no, your epoxy idea is not confidential. No one cares. Again, I've got a blog on that as well. Data roam is always basically going to happen, especially if you're seed stage plus and you've been around for at least a year to do some damage, right? And they just basically want to get information about like your incorporation docs and stuff, employment agreements, IP assignments, stuff like that. And some poor person is going to have to check it. Like, well, not really me. I had lawyers for that when I was an investment banker. Okay, then the last section here, optional, but all good founders do it, is, well, these good founders with good traction do it, is ask investors if they'd like to have updates during the process, especially if they're not really interested. And so what you're going to do is send like a summary of like key updates, milestones, like new partnerships signed, increases of MRR, whatever, to try and kind of like keep the excitement burning with investors. And so if you're going to send them, just mark the last time you sent them an update so you remember, like, has it been a month since you've sent it and has it been a day? Because if you get someone new, you want to send whatever an update 2 weeks later, whatever. Like, just track if they want updates. Okay. So that is the progressing sheet. That's like, it's the only thing you're going to care about once you've kind of spammed investors, what got an introduction to investors, and they're kind of running in the process. Okay. Really, please do fill this in properly because you'll create so many problems for yourself if you don't. Because you're going to get busy, you're going to forget what happens, and you're going to have to then troll through emails or look like an idiot and email them something stupid. So just keep it up to date. I promise you, it'll save you a whole lot of pain. I've written more about this in the blog, so read the blog. My voice is getting sore from talking. Okay. Offers. Once you've got an offer, or you pretty much think you might get an offer, the kind of borderline, or basically once you're kind of sick of looking at this progressing sheet, you run out of people to talk to. So the only people you're talking to are the people who are on this sheet. That's all you're going to care about, unless you can add new people to the list and get the process going again. But at some point, right, your sheet's going to end up looking like this and you couldn't give a shit about the list and the progressing sheet. All you care about is like just getting these people over the line because you're going to run out of people eventually. I promise you. Okay. Now, this is based off what I literally use myself when I've been raising. I don't really know why it's offered willing follow, maybe follow, unsure. I kind of came up with it when I was doing it, right? So you decide what it means to you, but it's basically like they are giving me money and I don't know, if they get money from someone awesome, they'll probably come in just because they're sheep. And, you know, they'll come in because whatever Excel and Sequoia and stuff are in the game, suddenly they kind of, you know, all break. So list sheet, right? Use the drop down menu to add new investors in. So they always need to have to be in the master list sheet. Progressing here, you have a drop down. So now if you want to add White Cloud Capital into the offers sheet, you're just going to copy the row and you're going to add them, right? So let's say they're a winning follow. You just copy and paste them in, okay? And we'll see that that number here has gone from 4 million to 4.09 million. Because we just added in White Cloud Capital, who could be in for like a 90K min, or it could be up to 1.2 million. say, these guys get all hot and bothered for you. You may then decide that, they may decide they want to make an offer, in which case they get in here and you move them around. So Reed Elsevier actually gets cold feet. We're going to copy these guys and then like, nah, actually, maybe if you get a good lead, we might follow, but So you can move them around by copying and pasting the rows, and you can clean them up like this. Yeah, move them around, okay? And so we see like total how many people are in the round, what's the min max they might be in. You can see that for all 4 groups, okay? Once you get to this stage, and as I said, you're gonna be obsessing about this sheet. You'll decide what all these mean to you based on the kind of feeling of where people are or how interested they are. You can add, whatever, another example if you want. Okay, whatever. If you want, just by like unhiding the rows, whatever. But I found this is what I've done a couple of times myself, and this is how I do it. And you don't really need more, to be honest. But basically, these are not really interested, but you might be able to get them in. And these people are who you really, really, really like. These are gonna be your guys. Okay. The min max potential ticket is somewhere you're actually gonna care about now, because you're going to want to be thinking about how much money you're going to get in that round, okay? So if you are raising 500k and you've got interest of 1.6, then you're in happy land. Now you want to be thinking about who you want to allocate into the round. Who do you want to let into the round? Well, maybe it's before you got offers from angel investors who were really supportive at the start and they helped you get other people. You might go, well, actually, I've got some big investors. I've got Ace and Company, Illuminate, Neon, who the fuck these people are. They can do my whole round, or they want to do the whole round. They don't want anyone else in. You're going to start thinking about allocating to people. But if you're, raising, 35 million, you're only at 4.2, you're like, okay, well, shit, I've got 4 people with a $1 million ticket. I need to find a lead who's going to write like a $15-20 million ticket, right? So here you're still going to be tracking like when information is sending them, right? So, if they're really in the process, they'll be getting like data room. So, I let them in the data room. So these people in the data room, but White Cloud Capital isn't yet. So maybe I'm like, shit, well, where am I with him? Oh, fuck, I didn't fill in this information. What did I send him? Does he have an NDA? Fuck, everyone who has access to data rooms meant to have an NDA. Shit, I didn't fill it in. Now you're going to have to go check. And that's why you're going to have to want to fill in everything properly, right? So like, after spending like 2 hours, you then go check or whatever pace, right? You sent them all this stuff. Actually, the likelihood you think is medium. They want updates. Okay, so data row. I need to try and get them in here, so I need to send them an NDA. So my next step was get them send who is it? Arnita, whatever the fuck that is. Arnita an email to get an NDA, right? So you now know what you need to do. So I literally do it, right? And it could then you change this next step to emailed Anita on 2801 19, all right? And then you want to make so okay, and then at 5 days later it comes back, it's like email whatever, Chase Anita, right? And so always know what it is that you're doing, what the stage is, so you can quickly look at this sheet and see what's going down in Funky Town, okay? This sheet is all you're really going to care about, so long as you've got enough people in here, right? If you don't, or like as I said, if you're raising 35, you're going to get into about 4.2-ish, or including these, right? A bit less. You can see the total, right? Max that you can get is about 16, so you're only halfway through your round. You need to get more people back in the list. You need to be then running a process and trying to get them into the offers sheets, okay? Now, if they're dead, you're just going to like, whatever, let's say White Cloud go, do you know what? Like, I actually hate this space and I hate you because you're ugly and you smell and poo. You're just going to copy and paste them in. White Cloud's dead. North Zone go, do you know what? Screw this shit. Life's too short. Dead, right? And the sheet's going to start looking like a little bit more messed up like this. Dead. Dead. Right? That's what you do, like the dead sheet. Just gonna copy and paste them in there. If you want, you can leave, I don't know, why they passed you or something. I thought about adding this stuff, but I don't want to create more work for you to do. And if you know what you're doing and you want to do analytics, you can smart enough to do it yourself. Now, final sheet before my voice loses. Allocation sheet is, again, something I did in like ghetto way, but I just made a nice, pretty one for you here. So let's say you've got your office sheet, you got a whole bunch of people in here. Now you're thinking, oh God, I've got too much interest. Now I need to think about who to give money to. So you would be like Ace, Illuminate, oopsies, Illuminate, and Neon. All right, those are the three guys, 1, 2, 3, that are really interested. So they said they do 500K to $1 million. Let's say I'm only raising 1 million. So you could say here, I could take 1 million. That's what I say. You're raising 1 million, right? So, well, 3 scenarios is you just take 1 million from one of them and fuck the other, right? Or you can have a scenario where you do equals 1,000 equals 1,000 divided by 3, right? Take them even. Or you could say that you have Illuminate as a lead. You take 250 from one of them, 250 from another. So all it is just like a basic abacus for you to be thinking about what potential scenarios you might have of who you would give money to. You know, obviously you can add more of those people who are interested. Right? And this scenario, you could be, okay, well, actually, do you know what? I'll take in 1.5. I'll take 100K from these guys because they're my daddy and my mummy. So I'm going to raise 1.2 instead of 1. So you play around with these and you can think what's happening here. And you can see here the summary, right? The number of min max of the people in your stage of offered, willing, follow, maybe follow, blah, blah, right? Offered, willing, follow, maybe follow, unsure. Of the total amount of money you might have and how much everything's in here. So you can have a play around, have a think about things, okay? Okay, guys, locking this thing up, okay? The sheet's not that complicated. You just need to get used to, one, what to do, how the process works, what the drop-down menus are in there, and just start, okay? It'll take you a while to kind of get used to everything, but ultimately you're going to decide what things mean to you, because a lot of things are not black and white. They're just 50 shades of kinky gray. So put in the time, go through the sheet, but just start. And over time, you'll start deciding what this means to you, and you'll kind of make it your own. But really, seriously, you have to either use the sheet or make your own and constantly fill it in. I've been through this stuff, and I swear to God, I've gotten lazy sometimes and I've not filled it in, and I've always regretted it. I don't know how long is this video now. Long enough for me to lose my voice. But I'm not going to keep on going on. I might make a course about fundraising at some point. You can read the blog. I've explained some of the stuff in kind of more detail to some extent. But it'll be worthwhile just reading anyway. I kind of explained some sort of quasi-academic stuff in it. So if you haven't read the blog, do it. Obviously, the video is useful, kind of me to take you through a bit. Get the model. You decide if you want to use the Excel or the Google Docs version. Have a play with a filled-in version so you kind of get a feeling of what it looks like, right? Just have a mess around with it. And then once you're ready to actually start doing your process, use the blank version of the file and just get going. All right, if you've got any questions, sound out in the comments below. If there's any videos you'd love me to make, then again, ask in the comments and I'll make a note and bust something out for you. Now, if you love this content, it's kind of obvious. Hit the like button just because, come on, do me a favor. And if you want to hear from me more, hit the subscribe button and then click the little bell thing and it'll give you a notification when I eventually get more content up. And I'm trying to get better at it, but honestly, a lot of the things that I make take a lot of freaking time to do. So I don't make too many videos. All right, thanks a lot for all this, and I hope that was useful. I'll see you. Bye.